It began on an ordinary Thursday in late October. The sky was pale gray, and the wind whispered sharply through the streets. The city seemed quiet, but underneath, something dark was about to unravel, something that would defy reason. Detective Lena Carr had been on the force for over 15 years. She thought she had seen it all, but nothing prepared her for the alley behind the small cafe on Whitmore and 12th. A body lay sprawled on the wet pavement, drenched in blood. The victim's eyes stared blankly at the sky, his hands frozen in a gesture that looked almost pleading. The victim was Thomas Langley, a local journalist known for investigating stories people wanted left buried. He had enemies, certainly, but no one anyone could name outright. As detectives canvassed the area, witnesses began coming forward, and that's when things grew inexplicably strange. People described a man near the alley at the time of Langley's death. Medium height, broad shoulders, dark hair, a strong jawline, and piercing gray eyes. Each account matched the others with eerie precision. But there was a twist that made the case nearly unbelievable. There were two men. Two men who looked exactly alike. And neither knew the other existed. Yet both were implicated in Langley's murder. The first, Daniel Hayes, was a construction manager in his mid-30s. Married, 2 children, reliable, quiet. Neighbors described him as friendly but unassuming. He had no criminal record. The second, Adrian Cole, was a freelance photographer, slightly younger and more bohemian in appearance. He drifted from project to project, city to city. Like Daniel, he had no record and no apparent motive. When Lena Carr first interviewed Daniel, he was bewildered. "I don't know this guy," he insisted. "I've never even seen him before." Adrian said the same thing. "You've got the wrong man," he told investigators. "I wasn't there. I don't even know Thomas Langley." Surveillance footage showed a man leaving the alley near 9:30 p.m. Witness accounts placed someone at the scene between 9:15 and 9:45 p.m. Fingerprints and hair samples were found at the crime scene. Both sets of evidence matched both men. Every lab, every test, double-checked and confirmed, 2 men, 2 sets of data, 1 identical match. Investigators were baffled. The city erupted in fascination and fear. Headlines screamed about the Doppelgänger murder. Social media was filled with debates, from Reddit threads dissecting the case to Twitter users claiming it was a sign of something paranormal. How could 2 men, unrelated and unaware of each other, be implicated in the same murder? Detective Carr focused on the facts. Both men had plausible alibis, though neither could account for the crucial 30-minute window. Daniel had been working late at a construction site, Adrian had been photographing buildings across town. Both places could not completely confirm their whereabouts between 9:15 and 9:45 p.m. That was all the room a killer needed. Investigators dug into Langley's life. He had been working on an exposé that could ruin reputations. Daniel had signed off on a construction permit tied to one of Langley's investigations. Adrian had photographed buildings connected to the same story. On the surface, innocent, yet enough to cast suspicion. Friends and family were stunned. Daniel's wife described him as the kind of man who wouldn't hurt a fly. Adrian's sister said he was charming, unpredictable, never violent. Neither had enemies capable of murder, or so it seemed. Forensic analysis deepened the mystery. Hair samples at the scene matched both men. DNA, checked 3 times, matched both men as well. Carr stared at the lab reports, trying to reconcile how science itself seemed to have been defied. Marcus Kim, her partner, admitted quietly, "I've never seen anything like this." Experts suggested possibilities, long-lost identical twins, an elaborate impersonation, even some genetic anomaly. But birth records, medical histories, and DNA databases revealed nothing. It was as if 2 identical men had been produced by the universe in perfect isolation. Courtroom proceedings were surreal. Witnesses insisted they had seen the killer, but could not distinguish which man it was. Both Daniel and Adrian testified, insisting on their innocence and expressing confusion at the existence of the other. Psychologists and geneticists debated identity, probability, and human perception, but none could answer the central question: who killed Thomas Langley? The jury, exhausted and frustrated, could not reach a definitive verdict. Evidence implicated each man, yet exonerated them in critical ways. Both men were released. Their lives were irreversibly altered, their names forever linked to a crime they could neither explain nor escape. Daniel returned home to a family that could no longer look at him without suspicion. Adrian wandered the city streets, haunted by the reflection in the mirror, a reflection now shared with another man. The city moved on. Streets filled with cars, cafes served coffee, newspapers faded from memory. But the doppelganger case lingered, impossible to forget. Detective Carr sometimes awoke in the night thinking about it: two men, identical yet strangers, and a murder no one could definitively solve. Because some questions are never meant to be answered. Some faces are too alike, some events too strange, to fit neatly into the world we think we know. And sometimes, the reflection staring back at you is not your own.